Henry, dearest.
My dear, hello.
Do you recollect Lady Flora Gillespie?
Gillespie?
She was at the November drawing room. A most vivacious person in a pink satin gown.
Cut rather low in the bodice. Yes, that lady I do recollect. Why do you ask me this?
Lady Flora gave me a very good report of a nurse who attends her son, a Miss Jane Temple. As the child will soon be starting school, I have written to ask her to send Miss Temple for an interview as soon as possible.
She is good. Drina must have the best nurse in London.
It was a personal recommendation.
Ah.
Lady Flora is a little wild for my taste. But she is a Scot, and they're very discriminating when it comes to servants. I hope Mamma will approve.
Of course she will. The Queen is partial to all things Scottish, is she not?
Jane Temple. The name is unknown to me.
Lady Flora gave her the very highest character.
One cannot be too careful when appointing servants to the nursery. Before you were born, I had a wet nurse for your brother, Bertie. Her name was Mary Ann Bruff. One day, she went out of her mind and murdered her own 6 children. The horror torments me still. Baby dear, my stool.
But, Mamma, we must find a new nurse for Drino.
I have sent for Mrs. Innocent.
Mrs. Innocent?
Yes, your own old nurse. An admirable woman.
She used to frighten me. She was always knitting and with such aggression.
Frightened? Of knitting? I never heard of such a thing.
And she used to dose me with Gregory powders.
What is wrong with Gregory powders?
Mamma, forgive me. But surely Mrs. Innocent is too old now for such a responsibility. She must be 65 at the very least.
3 years younger than her sovereign.
Forgive me, Mamma. But I must make it clear, Miss Temple, that this decision does not mean we have formed an unfavourable opinion, either of your character or your efficiency as a nurse.
Far from it, in fact.
Unfortunately, when I sent for you, I was not aware that the Queen had promised the situation to someone else.
I understand, Your Royal Highness.
If for any reason the other candidate should be unable to accept the appointment,
Or have any unfavourable references.
we would, of course, send for you at once.
Thank you, ma'am.
That is, if you like the look of us, Miss Temple.
Oh, yes.
You still wish to be considered.
Your Highness, I'd set my heart on it.
Were you unsuccessful, dear? Well, don't be distressed. They have to be so careful to get the right people.
Here's a health unto Her Majesty, with a fa la 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 la, confusion to her enemies.
Spot of spring cleaning, sir?
Ah, Sergeant Cribb, this office is a disgrace. Dust everywhere. I want to see it in apple pie order by 9 o'clock. Thackeray, help me with this. Posters are meant to be displayed, not used for swatting flies.
We due for an inspection, sir.
Ow! Confound it. Now there's blood on it.
Just what it needs, should impress the public. Who is he, Igor Ozolin? Haven't seen him in the Tatler.
Oh, ugly brute. Doesn't add much to the look of the place.
He's a dangerous international criminal, an anarchist. It's about time you woke up to the fact that this is the year of the Queen's Jubilee. Every crowned head in Europe will be coming to London. And we can also expect less desirable visitors like Mr. Ozolin here. Nihilists, anarchists, revolutionists. Don't ask me what they believe in.
Propaganda by the deed.
What's that?
Permanent revolt by word of mouth, in writing, by the dagger, the rifle, dynamite. It's all in the anarchist press.
Is that so? Well, it's not how we do things here.
Oh, stone the crows.
Those were our cocoa mugs.
And here are the replacements. Golden Jubilee beakers, inscribed with the likeness of our beloved Queen. Leave them here, where they can be seen.
What are we expecting, sir?
Just get on with the dusting, Sergeant Cribb. You know where to find me if I'm wanted.
These are a rare old state, Sarge.
No disrespect to Her Majesty, but I think I preferred the old ones.
Oh, well, we better try them out anyway. Got to do something to mark the Jubilee.
Oh, we will. We'll be on duty, while everyone else has the day off. Yes, sir.
Wilmot. I'm here to see Chief Inspector Jowett. Superintendent Wilmot of Her Majesty the Queen's Household Police.
Very good, sir.
And you are?
Cribb, sir, Detective Sergeant. This is Constable Thackeray.
So, you are Cribb.
I've got a feeling Inspector Jowett's expecting you, sir.
I trust so. I sent word from Windsor Castle. Chief Inspector?
Your Majesty. Oh, my word, you must be...
Wilmot from Windsor. I appear to have interrupted something.
Not at all, sir. My, lumbago. My doctor advised me to flex the back periodically. That will be all, Sergeant Cribb.
Very good, sir.
Please do have a seat, Superintendent. Have you come from the castle this morning?
Yes?
A cigar, sir. I take it that this has some connection with the Jubilee of our beloved Queen.
Indirectly, yes.
I was reading in the Times only this week that honors are to be conferred on certain men distinguished in public life. Speaking as one who has never sought recognition for services rendered, I think that a splendid gesture.
Agreed. Mr. Jowett, I am here on a matter of the utmost confidence.
You could rely on me absolutely, sir.
I need the help of a first-class detective, unconnected with the Windsor establishment.
Oh, if it's help you want, and on a royal assignment, I am at your disposal.
I want Detective Sergeant Cribb.
Cribb?
Now, I've been looking at the files. This man has all the right credentials. He's level-headed, he guards his tongue, and he's nobody's fool.
I grant you that, sir. But I do question whether Sergeant Cribb is the, class of man appropriate for duty at Windsor Castle. He's quite untutored in the social graces, you know.
That is unimportant. He will not be required to walk out of rooms backwards. In a moment, a carriage will draw up. Inside will be Prince Henry of Battenberg. Now, listen carefully to what he tells you and act upon it, but in the strictest secrecy. If a certain personage got to hear of it, we would be lucky to lose just our jobs.
This isn't treason, is it, sir?
No, Sergeant, it is not. Well, conduct yourself as if it were.
Something interesting down there, Constable?
As a matter of fact, sir, that party in the doorway across the road. His face looks familiar.
Looks like a foreigner to me. Taking a remarkable interest in Sergeant Cribb. Up to no good, I'll warrant. Get down there, Thackeray. Follow him. See where he goes to.
The choice of the child's mother and of myself is a charming and capable young woman, Miss Jane Temple. But a second nurse has been suggested. This one was nurse to the princess when she was a child. Her name is Mrs. Innocent. Do not write this down.
No, sir.
We fear that Mrs. Innocent may be, how do you say, Reisenheft. Senile?
Senile?
Yeah, senile. But we require proof of this, so that we may convince the personage who favors the old lady.
I'm to investigate a children's nurse to see if she's going to seed?
To seed? This is something I do not understand.
No, sorry, Your Highness, I interrupted.
There's one. The young woman with the small boy is Miss Jane Temple.
She's the nurse you prefer, sir?
It is not for me to say, Sergeant. She would be ideal. If Mrs. Innocent should in any way be proved unsuitable.
Might I ask, Your Highness, who suggested Mrs. Innocent for the position?
Sergeant Cribb. I was told that the English do not ask embarrassing questions. That is a German characteristic. If you are a good detective, why are you only a sergeant?
Is this the house where Mrs. Innocent is currently in service, Your Highness?
Yes. Here I will put you down. It is the residence of Lord Caspar Jones.
Ah.
The famous composer. He has 2 children. Lady Caspar Jones lives in Chelsea with a painter. You were not supposed to know that.
No, sir.
Mrs. Innocent has complete responsibility for the children.
Gwyneth, that is enough. Gwyneth, will you kindly stop howling like a banshee? Oh, Hugh, get off that swing now. Give your sister a turn. So that she can fall off. Have something to cry about. You shouldn't do that. What is it, child?
What is a banshee?
Go and play, dear.
Tell me, please, what is a banshee?
Well, it's a terrible thing. Never you mind.
I want to know. Yes, tell us, what is a banshee?
It is a supernatural creature.
A ghost?
Nobody knows. But it makes a strange, blood-curdling noise under the windows of the house. Like this. Woo! And do you know what that means? When the banshee is heard, someone in that house is about to die.
What does it look like?
I cannot tell you. I've never seen one, and I don't wish to, thank you.
Does it have a black hat?
Off you go and play again, dear. Nurse Innocent has to go into the house.
Why?
To make herself comfortable.
Are you blind, then?
No, my lord.
I thought not. Confounded liberty. Well, you're no use to me. I must have a blind man. I have told them always, send a blind man. It's the ear, you see. It's the perfect pitch.
With respect, my lord, I'm not here to tune the piano.
Who the devil are you, then? You're wasting my time. I have my, seventh to finish by Friday. They are waiting, panting to rehearse it.
My name's Cribb, sir. I was sent, well, commanded to make discreet inquiries about Mrs. Innocent.
Mrs. Who?
Mrs. Innocent.
There is no need to raise your voice. I am not Beethoven. Although in certain circles it has been mooted that, innocent. No, I've never heard of her. I have no time for philandering with the fair sex. I'm a musician, not a masher.
Mrs. Innocent is the children's nurse, my lord.
Nurse? Well, why didn't you say so in the first place? No, she is leaving us shortly, unfortunately. She has had the call from Windsor Castle.
That's why I'm here, my lord. It's customary to make inquiries about persons appointed to the royal household, in confidence. Can you tell me if Mrs. Innocent is God-fearing, honest, and sober?
I really have no idea. Well, she's been with us for 5 years. She hasn't murdered the brats yet. Isn't that sufficient for you?
Well, she isn't a young lady, sir.
No.
Can she be relied upon?
I rely upon her totally. Oh, I do. I don't see her, don't see the children for, days on end. Now, look, if you have finished, I would be obliged.
But does she have any friends, callers?
I really don't know.
But does she go out alone?
I am far too busy to notice. Why don't you ask her yourself? She's about the house somewhere, I think.
I won't do that, my lord. I was asked to canvass the opinion of the employer, not the nurse.
In that case, wouldn't you do better to ask my children?
Possibly I would, sir.
After all, if she is good enough for my youngsters, then she should be good enough for the highest in the land, don't you think?
I rather think this banshee wants a good slippering, followed by a cold bath and a Gregory powder.
I am most displeased with the Prime Minister.
Mamma?
It is my wish in my Jubilee year to admit more ladies to my drawing rooms. I had in mind those poor creatures who are the innocent parties in cases of divorce. Lord Salisbury has written to object on the grounds that we might find ourselves entertaining American women of light character.
How very absurd.
Utterly. Now, baby, have you yet confirmed the appointment of Mrs. Innocent? It must be done soon.
Mamma, I agree absolutely.
But has it been done?
Not quite. The usual inquiries are not yet complete.
Inquiries? Is the woman unwell?
No, it is simply the formality of obtaining recommendations of character.
Ridiculous. We have known Mrs. Innocent for 30 years.
You have told me yourself that one cannot be too careful, as in the case of Mary Ann.
Don't. I do not wish to be reminded.
The household police have to be most particular in checking credentials. They have your safety uppermost in their minds, Mamma. You cannot forget that this is the year of your Jubilee.
My Jubilee. Jubilee? How could I forget?
Mamma.
Ah, morning, Sarge.
Where have you been hiding? I was looking for you yesterday.
Oh, didn't Jowett tell you? I was following a suspicious person. He was outside watching you and that superintendent from Windsor Castle.
Oh? What did he look like?
Oh, well, he was a foreigner, I'd say. He was dark-haired, swarthy, about 5'8" or 9. He was bearded. He was wearing a dark overcoat, a black hat with a wide brim. Yes, he looked horribly like him. Oh, God. I lost him in Covent Garden.
He lost you more like, damn you, Thackeray. You're out of practice.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Well, here's an easy job for you. Nurse Innocent, in service with Lord Caspar Jones, Hampstead. The Gables, Rectory Road.
Oh, I won't mind that. No hardship in keeping an eye on a nurse.
Well, that's all right, then.
Ah, good morning, Sergeant Cribb. Just looking for a copy of the Metropolitan Police Acts. Mine is missing.
You won't find it there, sir. It's on the shelf.
Ah, God bless my soul. Yes. By the way, how is that Windsor Castle business progressing?
In the strictest secrecy, sir.
Quite right, too. Wouldn't want it bandied abroad that you're guarding the crown jewels, eh? You're not.
Not allowed to say so.
Prince of Wales hasn't got himself into another scrape, has he? We could do without a scandal this year, eh?
That goes without saying, sir.
Yes. You off again? Where are you gallivanting off to now? Buckingham Palace?
Not before lunch, sir.
Oh, before you go, Sergeant Cribb, there is one thing I've been wanting to mention. I wouldn't want you to feel that you're alone in this investigation. We've always operated as a team in this office, eh? What I mean is you know where to turn for support.
Oh, yes, sir. I can always call on Thackeray.
Thackeray. Good man. Yes. But just occasionally a case crops up that needs to be handled with the velvet glove, so to speak, and I rather think that this is one. I wouldn't claim to be in the habit of rubbing shoulders with the royal family, but I'm not unaccustomed to moving in exalted circles.
I am aware of that, sir.
Quite. So what I'm saying, in short, is that you can consider me as a helpmate. Not that I wish to interfere, Sergeant Cribb. I know you're sworn to secrecy, but you're bound to need support, damn it. An assistant, even. I'll play any part you like to name, however humble. I'm not too proud to serve my sovereign in a menial capacity.
No, sir.
What?
I mean, yes, sir. If I need help, I know who to ask.
Certainly. If I hear of a position, I'll let you know.
Miss Temple.
Duncan, darling, I'm talking. I shall come and play with you in a minute. I feel so sorry for you being dismissed like that, and without a character. Did I tell you that I applied to Windsor Castle myself?
For my old job? Or did they engage you?
I haven't heard yet. I rather think that they favour Mrs. Innocent. Duncan! How did you get that child?
Found him about to step onto the pavement, Miss Temple.
Oh, what a wicked boy, Duncan.
The name's Cribb, Miss. Detective Sergeant, Scotland Yard, presently attached to the Queen's Household Police. And who are you, Miss?
A Nurse Grant, late of the Royal Household.
All you nurses obviously know each other, then.
Title people's nurses are a very select group, if you want to know.
Then in all probability you know Mrs. Innocent?
She's being considered for my former position with the Battenbergs, is she not?
I believe so. What made you retire from the Royal Household, Miss?
Retire? I was dismissed. Didn't they tell you? An incident with a perambulator. I blunched to think of it.
Why, what happened?
It ran away.
And almost hit the Queen.
With the baby prince inside?
No, it was empty, thank heaven. I swear that I applied the brake. It must have been defective in some way.
Whatever did the Queen say?
What she said was short and to the point. I left next morning. Oh, I'm not complaining. I deserve no better.
But you think the royal baby deserves better than Mrs. Innocent?
Since you ask me, yes.
Without being indiscreet, what have you got against Nurse Innocent?
Well, of course, she's very experienced. She was nurse to Princess Beatrice.
And her family have been nurses for generations.
But it's rumoured that she's over-partial to gin.
And there is worse. She belongs to an organisation that is pledged to undermine the Constitution.
Gin and anarchism. Lord help us. Thank you, ladies. Good day. Don't let me catch you wandering off again, young fellow.
Hugh, what's this? Dragon. Silly, there's no such thing. Nurse, dragons are real, aren't they?
Of course they are. There's one on Hampstead Heath. Eats little children who ask too many questions.
Well, Sergeant, what information do you have?
Nothing I would call information, Your Highness. Some nurses gossip that I won't repeat until I've ascertained the truth.
Is that all? That is not good.
Might I ask a question, Your Highness?
Yeah, that is your job.
What is your objection to Mrs. Innocent?
I told you before, she's too old. The child would be happier with a young nurse.
Miss Temple.
She would be very good. But put yourself in the child's position. Which would you prefer, Sergeant?
I couldn't say, sir. I never had a nurse.
In Germany, all children of noble birth have nurses. Usually English. The English are the best. Mine was English. Very beautiful and very strict like a policeman.
If you say so, sir.
All I want is the right to choose the nurse for my own child. I tell you something in confidence, Sergeant. When my dear Beatrice told the Queen she wished to be married, there was, what you say, a volcano?
An eruption?
Yeah, an eruption. Then silence for 6 weeks. Silence. Not one word between them. Beatrice was 27 years old, but the youngest of the Queen's children, a baby, saw this difficulty. Then finally the Queen spoke. The marriage could take place, but on this condition that we make our home in England at Windsor, above the Queen's rooms. And when she goes to Balmoral with Osborne, we go too. I love my wife, so I do not make the complaint. But this is different, Sergeant. My own child, you understand?
You intend to put your foot down, sir. That perambulator, Your Highness, that rolled away and almost hit the Queen. Might I examine it?
I'm afraid this is not possible. I cannot receive you at Windsor.
If I could send someone to collect it?
It might be arranged. A man we can trust.
I have just the man, Your Highness.
Ah! Got got you, you B-flat. Ha ha! Oh, nurse. Sorry I didn't see you there. I am in the midst of composing a hymn. Damned elusive.
I merely came to mention that I wish to go out, my lord.
Out where to?
A political meeting.
What, another one? Well, there must be the third this week. What are you, nurse? You one of these anarchists?
The little ones are fast asleep.
So I should hope. Here, what if they should wake up?
I assure you, my lord, there's very little chance of that.
Put some laudanum in their bedtime drink, did you?
Good gracious, no.
Well, I was joking. Nurse, so very well then, off you go to your meeting.
Thank you, my lord.
Oh, nurse, don't bring back any dynamite, will you? Oh, Lord.
Grease. And this has definitely been forced. As a brake, it's useless.
Good Lord. You mean to tell me that some vandal has been tampering with the royal perambulators?
Somebody put the youngest member of the royal family in risk of his life.
This can only be the work of an imbecile, a monster.
Or a fanatic.
But why should anyone want to harm an innocent child?
Thank you very much for your help, sir. I think you should take you back into the castle now.
And that is what we shall do. They accuse us of impetuosity. They tell us to be patient, to put our trust in the sure and steady process of political evolution. Sisters, the first society for female suffrage was formed in 1857, 30 years ago. And how much nearer are we now to attaining it? I tell you, we shall achieve nothing in 100 years by political evolution. What must we do to attain our just position in society? We must challenge this constitution made by men, for men. I am speaking not of evolution, but revolution! Right! Men are the enemy, and it is to men that we must address our attack.
There's one there.
A spy in our midst.
I only came in by mistake.
And you shall pay for it, sir, with your trousers! Sisters!
You did what?
I grabbed the first thing I could to cover my embarrassment.
Thackeray, I despair of you. A commission from the royal family itself, and what do? Dishonour the flag.
Well, only for decency's sake. I couldn't have bicycled through the streets dressed as I was.
You rode a bicycle through the centre of London dressed like that?
Well, no one took a blind bit of notice.
They were probably averting their gaze. Well, what have we learned from this unbecoming episode?
We know that Mrs. Innocent's one of those ladies wanting votes for women.
Is she? By Jupiter. But I can't see how it affects her ability as a nurse, Your Highness.
No, Aye, Sergeant. But in all conscience, we are bound to inform the Queen.
Lady Mortimer was one of the speakers.
Lady Mortimer ought to get a good whipping. But I always took Mrs. Innocent to be a woman of good sense and sound judgment. I'm thrown into confusion, baby.
Perhaps we should consider engaging another nurse.
They will stop at nothing. Already, young girls are being trained as doctors. They enter the dissecting room with young men to study things which cannot be named before them.
Do you recollect Miss Jane Temple? We could send for her.
No. I shall need time to collect my thoughts. Mrs. Innocent may be a foolish, deluded woman, but I cannot believe she is totally beyond recall.
Sorry to call on you uninvited once again, Nurse.
Nurse no longer, I'm afraid, Sergeant. Do come in.
Last time we spoke, you mentioned that Mrs. Innocent belongs to an organization pledged to undermine the Constitution. You meant the women's suffrage movement?
Yes. Please.
I don't quite see how that makes her unsuitable as a nurse.
Then you do not know that the Queen is utterly opposed to the women's movement. In her mind, it is on a par with smoking, or Mr. Gladstone.
That is serious. That and the gin.
I believe she's always liked a nip of gin. But then the Queen herself is not averse to a drop or two of Scotch whisky. It has medicinal properties, does it not?
Oh, undeniably. So, all in all, it would appear that Miss Temple is the better candidate.
So that is your conclusion, is it?
Isn't it yours, miss?
Jane has many excellent qualities. She's young, intelligent, and pretty. I can see why Prince Henry favours her. But then so does another gentleman. And that is not a recommendation for service in the royal household.
She has a lover, you mean?
Oh, yes. He is unquestionably a gentleman of foreign extraction.
Igor Ozelin, the anarchist?
Nurse Grant has seen the poster, sir. She says the likeness is remarkable.
Sergeant, you had better explain the significance of this.
I believe we've uncovered an anarchist plot, sir. That perambulator that almost hit the Queen, I examined it. The brake had been greased and forced away from the wheel. Someone had tampered with it.
They couldn't possibly know that the perambulator would almost hit the Queen.
Well, they knew that an unsafe pram had caused a panic at some time, probably with Prince Alexander in it.
Infant. It's despicable. And why, in heaven's name?
To discredit his nurse.
Ah, and get one of their own people appointed in her place.
There are two candidates, Nurse Innocent and Miss Temple. On the day you came to see me about Nurse Innocent, a man was observed down there in the street watching. A man we suspect was Ozelin.
And a friend of Miss Jane Temple.
You asked me to investigate Mrs. Innocent, and I have. She frightens me with the stories, but it seems to work with the children, and I don't think she's dangerous. Miss Temple could be, if my information is correct.
Sergeant, it looks as though we may be able to avert a catastrophe thanks to your single-handed detective work.
Congratulations aren't in order yet, sir. I haven't any proof, and I haven't found Ozelin.
But you have a plan.
Yes, sir. To provoke them into action.
Isn't that dangerous?
Yes, sir. If you can think of some other way.
All I can think of, Sergeant, at this moment is that it will be my unenviable duty to inform the Queen. When I do, I'd rather have Ozelin in custody. What is your plan?
We take Prince Henry into our confidence. Make it appear that Nurse Innocent is to be confirmed as the royal nurse. Word will get round among the nurses in the park.
The anarchists will get to hear of it and be driven to desperate remedies. Cribb, this is dangerous.
I'll be responsible, sir.
You'll need substantial reinforcements.
Oh, I have that, sir, within these walls.
Henry, I cannot understand why it is necessary to invite Mrs. Innocent here when we do not wish to engage her.
Yes, my dear, it is strange. But the superintendent has a purpose in mind. A stratagem, he said.
We do not need a stratagem to convince us that that odious woman is unsuitable for our baby Drino.
No, my dear. But we have to convince your mamma of this, do we not? We need conclusive proof.
Is that what this is for, this letter?
Not exactly. There is another purpose. My dear, I assure you, it is simply a kind of trick. I shall meet the coach myself and inform Mrs. Innocent that we cannot engage her after all.
You had best write it, then. I only hope and pray that Mamma does not come to hear of it.
Mrs. Innocent has been summoned to the castle tomorrow. They're sending a coach for her. Everybody knows.
But you told me she's no good. An old woman who drinks and frightens the children.
Yes, but the Queen likes her, and that is enough.
This I do not understand. The Queen appoints the nurse for her grandchild.
Oh, I told you before, Igor. She's devoted to her grandchildren.
And why she choose this unsuitable old lady? It's crazy. Crazy British, crazy women. It's too much.
But you don't think that I'm a crazy woman, Igor. I believe in the revolution. Tell me that you love me.
Listen to me, listen. We can still succeed. I have a plan. What time is coach coming from Mrs. Innocent?
There's the Windsor carriage now.
Off you go then, Thackeray.
Gee up, boy.
Still in sight, I hope?
Assuredly, sir.
Well, I can't see the anarchists trying anything now. They can't very well hold up the carriage like a set of highwaymen. At this rate, we'll be in Windsor in an hour.
This isn't the road to Windsor, sir.
What?
Igor!
What the devil?
That was a shot.
Take care!
Giddy up, mate.
Get off the road, you'll get shot.
God save the Queen!
Igor Ozelin, you are under arrest. Are you all right, madam?
Perfectly, thank you, my man. Who on earth are you?
Chief Inspector Jowett of Scotland Yard.
Hit of damn enemy of the people.
How dare you, sir? There is a lady present.
Long live the social revolution.
That sounds as if somebody wants his mouth washed out with soap.
Hands together, Miss Temple.
What will you do to me?
Take you back to London and ask you a few questions.
Well, there's no need. I shall make a voluntary statement. I declare that I am a member of the International Anarchist Movement. I recognize no kings, queens, princes, priests of all religions.
Yes, miss. Save it till we get back to Scotland Yard, will you? Thackeray?
Will you, Sarge?
Miss Temple wants to make a statement when we get back to the yard. That'll be your job.
Oh, thanks, Sarge. Go on, miss. Put your feet down there.
It's not fair. Stinking policemen. Tools of the oppressors.
Save your breath, Mr. Ozelin. I've heard it all before.
What happened to Mrs. Innocent, sir?
Good Lord, isn't she in the carriage?
Oh, she must have got out.
Where could she have gone to?
My dear, it is a fait accompli. There's nothing else we can do.
But, Lico, you promised that Mrs. Innocent would not be brought to Windsor. You promised, Lico.
But she was not brought. She came alone by train. She is a most intrepid lady.
She is. Demanding to be admitted to the Queen's private suite. An audience with Mamma. It is more than I would dare to do.
My dearest Beatrice, it is no good to cry over the spilt milk. The Queen has confirmed the appointment. Nurse Innocent is now in command of the nursery.
I did want Miss Temple. She was so much more suitable.
Yes. My dear, there is something I have to tell you about Miss Temple.
They've just been sentenced. 10 years for Rosalind, 7 for the woman.
Oh, that don't seem much. If one of them bullets had hit me...
Where's Cribb?
Oh, he's not in today. He's been summoned to Windsor.
Windsor Castle?
Yeah, I reckon it's an Albert medal myself.
Good God, whatever for?
Oh, he's an hero now.
Cribb? Well, if he is, so are you and I. We were all in the cab together, damn it.
Yeah, actually, I was up on the box.
That is of no significance. The point is, we were all in it together. A team. The fact that it was I who arrested the most dangerous man in Europe is merely a matter of history now. I think I shall write a letter to the Times.
I think I'll have a cup of tea.
Sergeant Cribb, we have been deeply impressed by your conspicuous bravery in arresting the wicked anarchists. You have served us well. You may step forward and receive this token of our gratitude. I made it myself. It's to keep you warm on the beat.